Hey, hey, hey. I am Jamila McMallow, and I'm a mindset coach and relationship expert for successful women, successful professional women. Typically, my clients are women who are winning in their careers or businesses, but would like to experience that same success in their personal life. I'm so excited because it's been a long time since I've done a live stream across multiple platforms. I'm also standing, which is new. I got this idea from my coach. It's like sometimes like the simplest ideas, right? Because I love when I am interacting or engaging with people in person because I'm a person who moves around, uses my hands a lot, and all of that. So this is going to be good. What we're going to be talking about today is attraction. And if you can hear me, just drop a yes in the chat. Let me know so I can know that you can hear me, or say what's up. And if you're catching the replay, please drop a hashtag replay so I know that you were here. So, attraction, we hear this a lot, right? I've been using this term pretty much the whole time I've been in business. I used to have, or I used my method, I used to name it, it used to be called the action attraction method because it takes action to create attraction. And that's, that was my methodology. The methodology hasn't changed, it has evolved, but the name has certainly, been tweaked over time. But let's talk about what attraction is not. A lot of times when we think about attraction, we're thinking, oh, it's the way this guy looks. I like guys who, are tall, who have swag, who dress this way, that way, and then men, of course, it's like, oh, I like women who, look this way, look that way, whatever. So, yes, we are drawn to what we feel is pleasing to the eyes. However, that's really not where attraction is taking place. That's not really what's going on because we might think something looks nice, but it doesn't mean we're drawn to it. There is a reason why you are drawn to certain types of men. There is a reason why you are drawn to certain types of relationships and situations, and you find yourself repeating patterns. There's a reason, and we're going to get into that. And it's because it's this thing called attraction, and we're going to do a deep dive into that. So I just want to make it clear what it's not. We're not talking about how you dress, how you saunter into a room, the type of perfume you wear, how you style your hair, all these things. Those things make you more attractive physically, yes, absolutely. But that's not what we're talking about. Because the type of men that you are attracting and the type of men who are attracted to you has more to do with what's going on in here than what you are exuding out here. Now, what you are exuding is absolutely going to attract a certain type of man who is looking at you for a singular purpose. But really, the reason why you would even present yourself in that way and be open to that type of attention or feel like that's what you have to lead with, again, is one of the things that we're going to be digging into in this video. So I want you to stay tuned and watch it all the way until the end, because I'm going to be breaking down to you again what it's not, where it actually comes from, and then what does this mean? What does this have to do with your love life right now? What does this have to do with the relationships that you would desire to create and have right now? So we've already talked about what attraction is not in the context of this conversation, in the context of this video. So let's talk about where it actually comes from. Now this is, excuse me. Now this is interesting because we know that the root of just about everything about who we are as adults is rooted in childhood. And let me tell you why I will, till the day I no longer have to do this work because all things are right and perfect and good, I will stand on my methodology, what I know and understand, having coached over 100 women and having just dealt with this over and over and over again, is that your childhood experiences are the root of why you are the way you are, good, bad, and indifferent. And once you become an adult, if you want to do anything different than what you have been conditioned and taught to believe is true and possible for you, then you're going to have to do some intentional work to deprogram yourself, to rewire your brain and the way that you were taught to think, feel, and believe about just about everything. Now, that's not to say that everything your parents gave you wasn't good. No, They gave you what they had, and they couldn't give you what they did not. But now that you're an adult and you've exceeded their dreams and aspirations for you, and you want to go after even more, you've got to give yourself a new set of beliefs and programming. If you think of your brain as a computer, you've got to give yourself a new set of things that you believe to be true and possible for yourself, so that you can accomplish things that they couldn't have even imagined that you were going to create and experience. So that is the root and the crux of everything that I do, and especially when it comes to your relationships with men, because it's the foundation. It's who you are. But here's what most of us are doing: is most of us are running on autopilot. Most of us are not aware of how deeply entrenched so many of the things that we're doing and creating, things that we're doing and the things that we're creating in our life, is rooted to stuff that we're just on repeat from childhood. We think that because we've gone to therapy or counseling and we've developed an awareness of it, that that's sufficient. That's not. Awareness is great, because now at least you know where it came from, but awareness doesn't change the pattern. It doesn't break it, because you haven't given yourself something else to do instead. You haven't given your brain a new program to run. You haven't given your brain a new set of commands to follow when it comes to what is true and possible for you, your life, and your relationships. So the type of men that you are attracted to is rooted in your childhood. And I mean, there's a lot of different ways that we can go down the rabbit's hole on this, but I'm going to try to keep it as simple and brief as I can. Number one, the relationship with your father absolutely had an impact on your relationships with men right now as an adult woman, because how you experienced his presence or his absence taught you what to expect from men, and in specifically how that relationship with your father made you feel. If he was always working, let's say he was around and he was, they're a good provider, but if he was always working, if he never really set aside much time to listen to your thoughts, feelings, emotions, and things like that, you may have internalized that what you could expect for a man was, okay, he's going to provide, but he's not going to be there for me emotionally. He's going to be emotionally unavailable, or he's going to be busy doing his own hobbies and activities, and so he won't have much time for me, or I have to beg and ask him for his attention. And even when I get it, it's not as much as I want. So I always feel like I have to keep asking and asking him and trying to prove I'm worthy and important, and let me get good grades in school so you'll pay attention to me and do all the things and check all the boxes. So if that's the experience you have with your dad, chances are that's how you're showing up in your relationships with men. That's how you're expecting them to treat you. And so your brain believes that that is how men are. And so because your brain believes that's how men are, guess what your brain does? It is in the business of proving you right. It is not in the business of going out and attracting what's good for you. It's in the business of running the program. And the program is based on what you learned, what you were conditioned to believe, okay? What you were taught. And so by that experience that you had with your dad, by his presence or his absence, because if he wasn't around, it taught you some different things. Maybe you felt abandoned. Maybe you felt rejected. Maybe you felt unimportant. Maybe you feel like you just longed deeply for that love and attention and affection from a man. So now you grow up and you become an adult. And what do you do in your relationships? You find yourself constantly chasing, sometimes getting a little needy, getting angry and upset when they don't respond to you like you want. And you keep doing this thing because what you're really craving is that attention and that relationship and that bond that you didn't get with your dad. And it's playing out in your adult relationships with men. Pattern. So that part comes from your dad. By his presence or his absence, he taught you what to expect from men. And then, of course, there's always additional residual people along the way, like if you had a grandfather in your life or some uncles, or your brothers maybe embodied the behaviors that maybe you didn't know your father had, and you saw that and how that has played out. And so all of these examples just solidified for you a truth, and it's not really true, but it's a truth to you because your brain believes that's the way it is, because that's what you were taught, that's what you experienced, so therefore that's what you believe. And so it's going to go out and draw you to men who fit what is familiar to you, who fit what you believe to be true and possible for you in relationships with men and about men. So if men are liars and cheaters or emotionally unavailable, those are the men that are going to keep showing up in your life. Now, attraction. What did you get about when it comes to attraction? What did you get from your mother? Your mother taught you what to tolerate from men by her words and also through her example. So if you watched her suffer in relationships with men, could have been your dad, could have been a stepdad, maybe boyfriends, whatever, then she may have taught you how to be mistreated by men. If that's all you saw your mother experience was mistreatment by men, then her example taught you that's what you can tolerate. And you may have grown up and said, well, I've never, maybe you saw your mother get hit and you said, well, I'll never let a man put his hands on me. But did you let him cuss you out? Did you let him take your money and spend it? Did you let him ruin your credit? Did you let him cheat multiple times and yet you continue to stay with him and make excuses? Okay, now. So she taught you how to be mistreated. Or conversely, maybe there was no man around and she was fiercely independent and she taught you, you can't trust no man, you can't rely on man, you got to take care of yourself, stop crying, stop being weak. Maybe she wasn't very nurturing. And so what she did was she created a disconnect within you between who you are and your emotions, and a disconnect between who you are and your femininity. And she made those parts of you seem like a weakness. Don't be vulnerable. Don't be any of that. You got to be strong. You got to be this. And so what she modeled for you by her words or example was how to stand in your masculine energy all the time, because being feminine, girly, means that you're needy or weak. And so when you stand in that masculine energy, when your mother teaches you this is what you can expect from men, you can expect men to be useless and no good, and you just need to take care of yourself. Guess what kind of men you're going to continually attract? Weak men. Men who don't know how and don't want to lead. Men who want to lean on you, take advantage of you, benefit from everything you've built. Men who will happily sit back and allow you to do all the things for them and never live up to their end of the deal. Men who won't commit to you. Men who will be exactly what your brain has been conditioned to believe is true about men, because your brain doesn't just believe it to be true about, oh, it's only, no, it applies it to all men. And so attraction, what it is something that's happening for you on a subconscious level. And it is based on your belief system, what you believe to be true and possible for yourself in your relationships with men and about men. And it was formed in childhood. And simply having an awareness of it doesn't change the beliefs, doesn't change the programming. More is required. But that's where when you put your effort and energy there into shifting those beliefs, that's when you completely change your whole life, not just your relationships with men, but your whole life. Because the reason why you've been struggling in these relationships with men, the reason why these beliefs have been impacting you in this way, when you unravel that and you get rid of those beliefs and you empower yourself to believe something that's positive, that is what you want, what you deserve, what you desire, when you stand in that, it impacts every area of your life. There is an overflow, always, always. Okay. So that is where your attraction, and I have coined a term that I like to use, your relationship attraction pattern. That is the type of relationships that you attract. What is the pattern that those follow? If I have a conversation with you and I start asking you questions about your relationships, we're eventually going to end back up in childhood, and I'm going to go, boom, there it is. And this is how we nip it in the bud. So we go back to childhood. We nip it, that belief in the bud, the belief goes away. It opens you up to now new opportunities, new possibilities, seeing men, relationships, the world in a whole new way, even yourself. And now you are attracted to something different. Now you are open to allowing into your life new types of men, higher caliber men, and you are open to receiving, which your feminine energy has to do with receiving. So it not only affects your relationships with men, but step one is it changes how you see yourself, how you view your own womanhood, your own femininity. Okay. So that is the root of your attraction and why you're attracted to the types of men that you are. So what does it mean Well, what it means is you attract what is familiar to you, not what is good for you. I'm going to repeat that. You attract what is familiar to you, not what is good for you. So you can desire to have a great man who's committed and loyal and all these wonderful and marvelous things. But if that's not what your brain has been conditioned to believe is a reality, a truth for you in relationships with men, then guess what? You'll never experience it. You will never draw it into your life. And let's just say by some happenstance, you trip over it and fall into it. You will feel so uncomfortable in that relationship because it's like your brain is going, does not compute, does not compute. And so you will eventually start to create drama or not really feel safe or trust the situation and end up sabotaging the relationship. Or, like I said, just making it harder than it has to be, and specifically harder on the man because he's like, what's this about? I don't understand. And your brain's going, I don't understand either. You're not a liar, you're not a cheater, and we don't know what to do about that because that's what all men are, and you're not. So this doesn't. It's like you get stuck in a loop and you just don't. Does not compute. You can't function. So what does that all have to do with you finding and attracting a man that's going to want to build a long lasting relationship with you that's leading to marriage? Well, it's step one. It's why it's the first thing I talk about in my 5-day challenge, my Find Mr. Right 5-day challenge. I actually have one coming up. You want to go to findmrrightchallenge.com and you'll be able to find out what the most current dates are for the next one and be able to register online. And you absolutely want to go VIP because you want to have that live personal interaction with me that we're going to be just talking about your most burning relationship questions and allowing you to get clarity on the things that I'm going to even be talking about in the training. But the point is that if you want that, right? If you want this type of relationship, well, step one is you have to be able to attract a man that wants that too. You can't just go on the street and find some random man and say, okay, now I'm going to work my manipulation and magic and then he's going to become this person. No, that's what you've been doing. You've been picking up strays along the road and trying to turn them into thoroughbreds, and that's not how that works, okay? No, he is who he is. He's a grown man. You're not about to teach a grown man how to be a man. You're not about to do that. We're not doing that, okay? Maybe you were doing that yesterday, but today you saw this video. Stop. We're not doing that anymore. So my point is that step one is you have to attract that type of man first. If you want to be married, you have to attract a man who's looking for a wife, a man who wants to find the woman with whom he wants to spend the rest of his life with. If you want to be married, you're not going to find some guy who's a happy bachelor and change his mind. If that's what you're on a mission to do, I'm just going to find the guy that I want. And by me proving myself, I'm going to convince him that I'm worthy of being his wife. And he'll just want to give up his bachelorhood and marry me. No. Number one, when you attract a man, you attract him. You do not pursue him. He will pick up on you by how you, yes, of course, how you look, but how you carry yourself, what you say. He's already watching and observing. Any man that approaches you, now I'll say it like this: there are men who will see you walk to him, hey girl, how you doing? Okay, but a man who is approaching you, like he's all of a sudden reaching out, whatever, he's built up to that. He's done some research, he's done some reconnaissance, and so he's picked up on what it is about you that he likes. You seem to be like a contender. The man who's looking for a wife, a long-term committed relationship, is looking for something different than the man who's just looking for his next conquest. And so repellent to is the type of men that are only looking for their next conquest, or men who are only bringing toxicity to the table. You want to be able to repel them and attract men who desire the same thing that you do. And that starts with who you are being. And who you are being is who you think, feel, and believe you are based on what you believe is true and possible for you, your life, your relationships, and with men. Okay? So all roads always lead back to you and what's going on in here. So, but you address these beliefs, you shift them, you change what you believe to be true and possible for you. Number one, and then in your relationships with men, then you have now positioned yourself to be in the most successful possibility of meeting the type of man that you wish to attract. Going out with the same set of beliefs and thinking that a specific tactic or strategy is going to work is not, because you haven't changed what's going on up here. You can read all the books that you want to. You can follow all the experts, online gurus that you want, read their memes, comment on their stuff, binge their YouTube channels. But you will never be able to shift your beliefs until you do the deep intentional work to do so. Just like on a computer. Unless you are a computer programmer, last time I checked, like I know for me, when I want to do something on my computer, I can't just start typing in, going into the code and all of that and know what I'm doing. I don't know what I'm doing. I can develop an awareness of what needs to be done. I can know what I want. But how to actually get my computer to do it is two different things. I have to hire an expert, someone who knows what they're doing with that to help me. For example, in my business, I got to a place a couple of years ago where I was not doing well in the sales department. So I had to hire someone who was an expert at sales, a sales master, to help me learn sales and master sales. I knew what I wanted. Hey, I want to make more sales, I want to make more money. Okay. But I didn't know how to input that in here so that it became second nature. So I had to hire an expert to help me to do that. So the same thing is true when it comes to you shifting these beliefs and changing your relationship attraction pattern and positioning yourself to be able to attract the type of man that you want and desire. It is going to require effort, time, and energy and resources. And that's okay, because if it's what you want, then you're going to do it. If it's not what you want, if you're just diddly daddling around, you're just like, oh, I'm just going to fix it on my own. You won't. You'll just spend the rest of your life, trying to figure it out. And that's just what you'll do. But for women like me, women like my clients, we like to take action. And we want to know, how do I collapse time? How do I get what I want faster? And I know, just like I gave that example of you, when I wanted to improve my sales, I hired somebody to help me do it. Just like when there's been certain hairstyles and things that I wanted to get, I could technically, if I wanted to weave, I could technically braid my hair and do it myself. But why would I do that when I can go pay someone who's an expert at it, who's going to get it to lay it down right, who's going to get the braids all in order and have me looking the way that I want to look in the shortest amount of time, versus me standing up there in my mirror in my bathroom sweating, trying to do it myself and getting it wrong and it not looking cute and all this and that. No. When we really want something and we want it done right, we pay someone who has more expertise than we do to help us to get it done. All right. So that's what it means, is that if this is the part of your life that you want to change, then, that's what you're going to have to do. But I want to thank you so much for tuning in and being here with me today on this live. I hope that I really did shed some light on this for you, on this topic of attraction, and really understanding it on a deeper level and getting out of this place of just focusing on the superficial, on the exterior, and not really understanding, when we talk about what's happening on the inside, that it's more than just personality and somebody being likable, but it's really a lot deeper than that. And especially for you, it is always that deep. It's always that deep. You're never going to come to my YouTube channel, my Facebook, my LinkedIn post, none of that, and get some superficial fluff. It is always that deep for me. And I am not going to water it down, because that's not who I am. If we met in person and we had a conversation, in about 5 minutes, you're going to be telling me your whole life story, and I'm going to be helping you break it down right there in the moment and help you create some type of shift so that you walk away feeling better than you did before we had that conversation. Everyone that comes into contact with me, I want them to feel some shift so that they feel more empowered. Like, oh, okay, I get that. Or, oh, I learned something new about myself. And then they walk away and they go forth and their life is better from them simply having come in contact with me. That's my belief system, and that's how I operate. Okay. So I hope that this video gave you some value. If you are watching this live stream on LinkedIn, please like and comment. Same thing on Facebook. And if you're watching this on YouTube, if you would please subscribe and hit the notification bell, I would really appreciate it. Please drop a comment below as well. And if you are a successful single professional woman, you absolutely do not want to miss out on my Find Mr. Right Challenge. Go to findmrrightchallenge.com to register today. I look forward to seeing you in the VIP section of the training, and I will see you all the next time I get on here. All right. Thank you so much for being here with me, guys. I'll see you later. Bye.